Well, g'day, Max here again. Welcome back to the shop. So today is just a little diversionary video going through this product here, a Vevor Ultrasonic Parts Cleaner. Now, I've been thinking, there's a lot of videos out on these things, and I've been thinking for a fair while, I wouldn't actually mind giving one of these a go, trying them out. So, Vevor, in their wisdom, contacted me and sent me one out. Now, I had an option. There was I think it was a 10 litre, a 15 litre and a 30 litre version. So I thought the 10 litre one might be a bit on the small side for what I want to do with it. The 30 I would have liked, but I was a bit dubious at first on, okay, that's probably 20 litres of cleaning fluid that would have to go in, or 25 litres at least, and that's a fair amount. Plus it would take a lot longer to heat up. So I thought I'll go the middle range and we'll go with the 15 litre. And like I say, for me, it's worked out to be a really good size. It heats up pretty well. It's a real bonus to have in the shop, and that's fact. So there will be, they did email me, it's a promotional code that you put in the description of the video, as per usual. So anyway, let's get on with it. So the thing rocked up on my doorstep in a cardboard box, pretty well protected with foam inlays and that, so yeah. So let's have a look at this thing. Oh, by the way, in the video, the first half of the video, I took a few clips using this while we were working on another job, namely the machine behind us. We were cleaning some parts for that. So I was doing the video for that and taking clips for this at the same time. So I don't think there's too much that was, there is little bits that was in the previous video, but yeah, that's just the way it is. So, and it may appear a little disjointed, but it was footage that I took while I was doing something else while this was in use. So we'll show that first, and then we'll I think we'll drain out the grubby coolant that's in there, and we'll have a look, see how much crap's sitting on the bottom. We'll either refill it with the same coolant and keep on hammering away, or we'll put fresh stuff in. I'll see what other stuff I've got immediately at hand to crank it back up again. So the thing comes with a basic set of instructions, loosely translated from Chinese to English, about what's going on with this thing here. So little instructions like don't run it for more than an hour, which I haven't, I give it half-hour intervals. Basically these things work on cavitation, which generally speaking, cavitation is your enemy as far as if you're into hydraulics, but in the cleaning process, that's how this works. So it's caused by high frequency ultrasonic waves, vibrates the fluid inside and implodes violently, causing cavitation, which create an intense scrubbing action on the surface of the item being cleaned. So that's what happens, that's how it works. It all shakes, it all vibrates, and yeah, causes the cavitation. I think on the underside of the plate there's some things that make it vibrate. I haven't pulled the bottom off. I'm not going to pull this thing apart. There are reviews on this where people strip them down. Well, that's not really my thing. I'd just rather plug them in and use them and see how they go. So we will be using this for a lot of cleaning. So, and you'll see this pop up quite often in future videos, and we'll get a good idea by then on how long the thing lasts and a bit more broader view of its use than a quick little video now. So I think we'll get this fluid drained out. The current temp for the water and detergent 48 degrees. It's on a half-hour timer, and it sounds like a bloody dishwasher. So we'll see how it goes. Should save me a lot of time and mucking around. Certainly clouded up the water, but didn't have time to turn the camera on. This was instant. See how it goes. Leave it in there for half an hour. Can't show you what I put in there because now it's so cloudy, but you'll see when we pull it out. The detergent that I'm using is this stuff here. This is just available from Bunnings, our local hardware. Normally in the past I use this neat without water, but probably put 10 litres of water in and a litre of this, which is still far more concentrated than what you're supposed to, but I want it excuse me, I want it done a bit quicker, a little bit more horsepower. You have to actually be over 16 here in Australia to buy this stuff from Bunnings. Not sure what its active ingredients are. Alkaline. Yeah, it's an alkaline based cleaner. It's got a fair bit of horsepower when you use it neat, so you've got to be a bit careful of your paint. Okay, that's its 30 minutes. Interesting, the temperature went up to 56 degrees. So let's have a look. Bringing it a bit closer. So this is the compound slide nut out of the Heron lathe, and this was absolutely caked. Mind you, saying that too, the cleaner that I use is more concentrated than what you're supposed to. It's supposed to get into holes. Didn't do a terrific job of getting into that hole, but bear in mind too, yes, the lead screw that goes through this had grease put on it, so there'd be old dry grease in there as well. You can see it's had a decent bit of a crack at that one, but this was pretty well encrusted. That's come up very well. All the crusty screws. All in all, I think it's done quite a good job. Well, it saved me half an hour's worth of cleaning just there. Well, threw that in for another half an hour and it's got right in and cleared the grease out of those threads. Probably won't. Very happy. Same. Great for screws and that. So I must make up a smaller container, a mesh container, that screws can't fall out or fall through the grate here. No, very good. All right, we'll put something else in it. So just going back to this for a second, even a robo wash would not get the crap that was in that hole out. And I mean, I use a robo wash pretty well on a daily basis. And yeah, a robo wash would not get the crap out of in there. So let's put some other parts in. These are parts off a tool holder block. So I'm not really sure what to expect, how this is going to come out. This would come out great if I had some evapor rust, but we'll just see how this cleaner goes. I think a lot determines on what type of cleaner you've got in these things. So, now, the previous half hour I've had the heater turned off, and let's keep the lid on. It seems to be have quite good insulating qualities. It's only dropped down 4 degrees. Oh, sorry, 3 degrees. So I'll crank it back up without the heat because it's still on 52 degrees, 53 degrees, where I had it preset to 50 degrees. So we'll get her gurgling away again. You can see it doing its thing. Another half an hour. What did accelerate my cleaning time quite a lot was this, and yeah, this was great. So we'll there's probably 10,000 videos on these ultrasonic cleaners on the YouTube, but yeah, saved me a ton of time. Well, there's nothing else to disassemble on here, so we'll get a soaking in the little washing machine that we got there and see how they come up. This part that we had in yesterday come up quite well, quite happy with it. So we'll get all these bubbling away. We'll have a look in a couple of hours. So the cruddy old tool post parts, let's clean them up very well. Taken most of the rust off them as well. So these started out the same condition as this here. Pretty grubby. So we'll put this in next and see how it goes. Hopefully it'll take the weight. So we've got our tool post parts all cleaned up, come up very well. Yeah, so she's got a bit of a soupy layer on top, and I'm not sure what's underneath. And of course, your cleaning basket where you put your parts in. Now, just a simple on-off switch on the rear, and on the front your temperature controls. So it's got your temperature you're set at through these buttons here, up and down. We can turn the heating element on or off, the actual temperature, and that's your timer in minutes and seconds, so you can adjust your time here or turn it off here. Pretty simple. It has like a maximum fluid level, which is this indentation here. That's not your fill line, you only got to fill these things. Let me check the instructions. I'm pretty sure it was either 2/3 or 3/4 full. Let me just verify that. Okay, so the minimum you want is at least half full. That's your maximum filling line, so yeah, that's the minimum, is half full. So I mean, you got to leave room for water displacement for whatever bits you're putting in there. So now comes with there's a drain valve for draining the solution, and that's all it comes with. Well, when I say that's all, comes with this little siphon hose, plastic hose, but no fitting to go in there. So, and I ain't going to suck on this to siphon that soup out of there with this hose. So I'll get another hose set up into this valve, and we'll drain the fluid off and we'll have a look. So as far as how good or not good the cleaning action works relative to the fluid level, it's something I don't know. It's something we're going to have to find out, and only time will tell on that one. The other thought when I was thinking about buying one of these would be, it would be a really good vessel to have for something like evaporust or something. So that's something I might look at in the future, but like evaporust here in Australia for me is a bit cost prohibitive, so that's why I use the cheaper cleaners in it. So I'm going to use a word that's, I know, is discouraged from being used in our workplace, and that's called common sense. So use your bloody noodle, disconnect your power supply when draining and refilling, just in case something happens and you electrocute yourself. So we've got a hose set up, and I'm going to drain the fluid into this container, and I'll just set a rag on top to catch, just to filter some of the crap out of it. So turn our valve on. Hopefully this valve will reseal once we turn it off, and we'll just let that slowly drain through the cloth and see what happens. I'm hoping, because this has been sitting for a while, that the majority of solids should have settled down the bottom. So we'll bring you back when it's fully drained. Okay, so we're all drained now, so putting the rag across will filter out to an extent some of the crap. You can repeat the process and clean the cleaning agent by just keep filtering it. Let's have a look inside the tank. So it looks like, yeah, we've got quite a soupy residue left. So I'll get this cleaned out and we'll get it refilled. Now, with the layer of gunk in the bottom, I don't know how that, if it muffles or dampens the cleaning effect. So let's clean it out and we'll go again. So what I probably should have done was crank this up with the old liquid in, and then again with the clean, well, once we've cleaned it out, and see if there's any difference with the rippling effect on top. And that would tell us if the layer of gunk was having like a muffling effect on the cleaning process. But that's something I'll have to do at a later date now I've drained it. Right, so that's our tank cleaned out, ready for another round. So our rags from the crap we cleaned out. Now, because we are responsible citizens, and these rags, this contains hydrocarbons to some extent, we are going to do the right thing and dump them in a proper registered hydrocarbon bin, and not on the next door neighbours' palm trees. That's if you have next door neighbours with palm trees, because I hate palm trees. So let's get refilling. And of course, glasses on when you mess with this stuff, because if it splashes in your eyes, it ain't going to be nice. So that's coming out quite clear now compared to what we drained out. It's amazing what a couple of rags will filter out. And we will keep a designated container for our fluid, just so we don't get it mixed up with anything else. So it's 7:30 now, so we'll crank up our cleaner and see how long it takes to warm up to the temperature that I've been using, which is 50 degrees C. Wait, power on. We'll come and set our temperature. 50. So the current temperature of the fluid is 18 degrees C. We're still on for a 30-minute cycle. We press heat. The light comes on to indicate the element's working. So we'll get our parts put in and get it bubbling away. So we have some crustaceans on our parts here, and these are off our Herbert No. 2 capstan lathe. So we're just putting them in as they are. Like, they're pretty crusty, and I don't want to be dicking around pre-cleaning this stuff, because then it defeats the purpose. I might as well clean the whole things, you know, by hand. So we'll get them in. In with the basket. This has a clean side and a cruddy side. So we'll put the cruddy side down. Your parts are supposed to be placed in the basket, not dropped in. So that's all covered. So let's while it's heating up, let's turn her on and just check our bubble effect. So I'm going to hit the start button. See the ripples. I'm not sure if that's me, or I'll have to go back and have a look at the other bit of video, because I thought it was quite violent, the bubbles from when I very first turned it on. That's up to 21 degrees already. So I've just gone and glanced at the clock, and obviously my clock needs a blue pill or something like that, because it's struggling to get it up. It's second hand, it's just bouncing. Looks like I'll have to dig out some batteries. Okay, we're off and racing with a new lease of life. Okay, that's been 15 minutes and we're up to, well, near enough to 14.5 minutes. We're up to 35 degrees. Now I just went back and had a look at the other bit of the video when we first tried it, and that's definitely not having the same violent reaction as when we first plugged this thing in. So we'll let this thing, I'm going to run these parts for 2 half-hour cycles. We'll have a look at them, and I don't know if the quantity of parts you put in has any effect on that. I think I've got a similar quantity in now as what I had in that first shot with it running. So if that's the case, maybe, I have heard stories on other reviews about the vibration pads coming detached. So if that's the case, I think we'll run these parts through, drain the fluid out and pop the cover off the bottom and have a bo peep. Or unless I shagged it up by putting this tool post in, and there's a lot of weight in this, so there's no weight designations mentioned on the instructions. It is a lot of weight, but I was very careful to place it very gently in. So what we'll do when we pull those other parts out, we'll pull the basket out, and I might set this tool post in the basket, and we'll just see the flex on the basket to make sure the basket's not bottoming out on the casing, because that's what will, I'm led to believe, will give damage to the internal components that do the cavitation. Okay, that's our first half hour. Temperature's come up 49 degrees, so yeah, well, that is what it is. So we'll pick the basket up, have a quick look, and I do want to run this for another half an hour. Well, these there was the grubby side that we had down. That was that clean side that we had up. It's a bit of, like, it's a degreaser, it's not a rust remover. Sometimes it does attack a bit of rust. Well, that's a good result, but let's just whack it in for another half an hour. And let's turn this one around so this slot's facing down and see if it gets into that slot a bit better. I have noticed that the underside does tend to get a bit better cleaning action, so let's get it back in and crank back up. And as we're already up to temp, what I can do now is turn the heater off. I'll turn it down just to make sure it stays off, but it should shut off by turning it off and our light's not on anymore. And this should hold the heat for the next half an hour. Well, for doing these parts anyway. Pointless running the heat for the second cycle, I feel, is that, yeah, it's already hot. So just to compare apples and oranges, I'll slip in a clip that you've already seen just for a few seconds, just to compare what's going on the surface, and have a look at the ripples around the edges. You'll see the difference. See how it goes. Leave it in there for half an hour. Can't show you what I put in there. A bit over 10 minutes to go, and interesting to see, this happened before, the degreaser or cleaning fluid temperature has come up a few degrees. It come up about 5 degrees when I first tried it as well. But the elements aren't on, so it's not heating, but it is getting warmer. So I don't know why that is. Well, that's it, another 30 minute cycle. So these parts have been in now for 1 hour. Interesting to note, our temperatures come up to 56 degrees C, even though we're not running the element. So yeah, maybe there's some friction thing going on with the liquid inside and the cavitation that heats it. Oh, I don't know. So anyway, let's pull these parts out. So I'll just give them 5 minutes to drain. Right, so all in all, I think our parts have come out very well. It seems to have got into the bores. I mean, these are aluminium tool blocks off the capstan lathe. Remember, this slot had a fair bit of crud in. That's come out very well. Just cleaned up the fasteners okay. I mean, you'd probably have to go to an evaporust solution to get the rust off, I guess. So yeah, all in all, it's still doing, I think, a marvellous job. It's a handy bit of gear to have in the shop and frees up a lot of my time. So let's drain this fluid out. Let's pop the base off, even though I wasn't going to, as I do have some concerns that possibly one of the pads underneath has come detached. Before we do that, let's investigate this basket, as when we had that heavy tool post sitting in here, we just need to make sure that the basket was not flexing down and contacting the base internally. So in another video later on, when we're in the middle of doing some other machine repairs, we will try some CLR. This stuff here in, and just see how that goes in our ultrasonic cleaner, and see how it goes on with the rust. But we won't be doing that in this video, as it's not a cleaner comparison video. So we have our tool post in the basket just to check any light deflection, and there was only a couple of millimeters in it, if anything. So the weight's still split into 4, on each of the feet. So there was not an issue with our basket bottoming out. So we just have this draining now. Same deal. I'll just filter it every time I drain it, and we'll flip her upside down and we'll check these vibration pads or whatever it is that are mounted underneath. And this was the soot that came off the parts that we've just cleaned. So yeah, it does do a pretty good job, all in all, I think. So looking inside, everything still appears to be firmly attached. And these were the things I was concerned about coming loose, and everything's firmly attached, so I don't think there's any issue there. So as far as it appearing not to vibrate as much as it was, it's something I think we're just going to have to monitor for now, and we'll do an update in when we use it for our other projects. So let me get this screwed back on. Well, I think we'll wrap this one up here, and yeah, delving into the innards of the parts cleaner. We didn't find anything obvious, but I don't have the time to dick around in there with a multimeter and maybe test the resistance or whatever of those 6 vibration things. So we'll monitor the situation, we'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes. So yeah, I cannot explain why the 2 shots, one was bubbling more than the later one, so it could be a mystery. There is, if you work on earth moving and you work on Komatsu machines, in their service manuals, when they're unsure of something or lose it in the translation, they just call it, well, Komatsu call it a phenomenon. So there you go. So I've given this the most honest review that I can. I have not really, I haven't been able to fault it. This is the first time I've used one, so I have limited experience, and my experience on these is what you've just seen. So we will be using this for quite a lot on around the shop, as we have a lot of machines in the shop that need a lot of repair work, and I hope to get all of the parts cleaned on the machines in this. So we'll see if it survives the test of time. One thing with the reviews, when you watch other reviews, you'll see a channel review a product and then that's the last you'll see of it. You won't get to see it in use. Here you'll get to see this in use, and if you go back to our mag-based drill, you will see that in use, as we have a couple of other projects in mind for that as well. So yeah, in a nutshell, would I recommend it? At this stage of my experience with it, yes, I was actually going to purchase one of these, and then I had an email from Vevor asking if I'd like to test one out. So thank you, Vevor. Saved me buying one, and you guys got a a free test. So yeah, going back, would I recommend it? At this stage, absolutely, because I find it personally a great time saver to have in the shop for cleaning parts. So yeah. All right, well, cheers, thanks for watching, and we shall resume our regular program of what we do in the shop here, machining bits and repairing machines. See you next time.